Good morning. Welcome back to Bookie Monsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, October the 8th, and we are here to look at the mysteries and thrillers that have been published this week. Every day of the week, we look at a different genre of newly published books. On Mondays, we look at cozy mysteries. Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. Wednesdays, we look at romance. Thursdays, we look at fantasy and science fiction. And on Fridays is Freeform Friday. We look at whatever I want to look at. And quite frequently, it's leftovers from the week, and sometimes it's other things. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They go for 2.5 hours. Bring your own book, work on a project, or just close your eyes after having a day. That is time carved out for you. I do that 3 times a week. I do it every Tuesday and Thursday evenings for 2.5 hours, and then on Saturday afternoons for 5 hours. So a total of 10 hours each week of self-care time for you with an ambiance background. So today we are looking at mysteries and thrillers. There's a few. There's always a few. First up is The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. Clem gets a call that is every mother's worst nightmare. Her 19-year-old daughter, Erin, is unconscious in the hospital after a hiking trip with her friends on the remote Orkney Islands that met a horrifying end, leaving her boyfriend dead and her best friend missing. When Erin wakes, she doesn't recognize her mother and she doesn't answer to her name, but insists she is someone called Nix. Clem travels the site of her daughter's accident, determined to find out what happened to her. The answer may lie in a dark secret in the history of the Orkneys. A woman wrongly accused of witchcraft and murdered 4 centuries ago. Clem begins to wonder if Erin's strange behavior is a symptom of a broken mind or the effects of an ancient curse. Well, that's absolutely seasonal and spooky and gothic and all those things. The Last One at the Wedding. Excuse me. By Jason Rekulak. Frank Sastowski is shocked when his daughter Maggie calls him for the first time in 3 years. He was convinced that their estrangement would become permanent. He's even more surprised when she invites him to her upcoming wedding in New Hampshire. Frank is ecstatic and determined to finally make things right. He arrives to find that the wedding is at a private estate, very secluded, very luxurious, very much out of his league. It seems that Maggie failed to mention that she's marrying Aidan Gardner, the son of a famous tech billionaire. Feeling desperately out of place, Frank focuses on reconnecting with Maggie and getting to know her new family. But it's difficult. Aidan is withdrawn and evasive. Maggie doesn't seem to have time for him, and he finds that the locals are disturbingly hostile to the Gardners. Frank needs to know more about this family his daughter is marrying into, but if he pushes too hard, he could lose Maggie forever. So kind of maybe a version on Taken, only the Taken part is that she's marrying into a nasty family. The Puzzle Box by Danielle Trussoni. It is the year of the Wood Dragon, and the ingenious Mike Brink has been invited to Tokyo, Japan to open the legendary Dragon Box. The box was constructed during one of Japan's most tumultuous periods, when the samurai class was disbanded and the shogun lost power. In this moment of crisis, Emperor Meiji locked a priceless imperial secret in the Dragon Box. Only 2 people knew how to open the box. Meiji and the box's sadistic constructor, and both died without telling a soul what was inside or how to open it. Every 12 years since then, in the Year of the Dragon, the imperial family holds a clandestine contest to open the box. It is devilishly difficult, filled with tricks, booby traps, poisons, and mind-bending twists. Every puzzle master who has attempted to open it has died in the process. But Brink is not just any puzzle master. He may be the only person alive who can crack it. His determination is matched only by that of his two sisters, descendants of an illustrious samurai clan, who will stop at nothing to claim the treasure. Brink's quest launches him on a breakneck adventure across Japan, from the Imperial Palace in Tokyo to the pristine forests of Hakone to an ancient cave in Kyushu. In the process, he discovers the power of Meiji's hidden treasure and, more crucially, the true nature of his extraordinary talent. Well, that sounds kind of cool, actually. A twist on the games thing. Um, I'm very intrigued. And watch, it's going to be like a note on a piece of paper that says "Love one another." But yeah, I'm interested. Next up, The Trip. Good morning, Mary. Another beautiful autumn day here in Virginia. Oh, fantastic. I'm sorry I'm late. Lost track of time. Did the same thing yesterday. That's okay. How are you doing? That one does sound cool. And Mary asked the same thing. We're wondering how you doing. The Trip by Phoebe Morgan. This one's set in Thailand, it says. Two couples go on vacation and murder ensues. How well do you know your friends? Four friends are on the vacation of a lifetime in Thailand until a vicious murder shatters their paradise. Four friends who would do anything for each other. Until now, only one of them committed a crime, but all four know how to keep a secret, and they're all guilty of something. Dot 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 dot. And that's all it says. Perhaps that's all they should say. End of row one. The Undercurrent by Sarah Sawyer. It's 2011, and DC Jeffries' missing persons case in Austin, Texas is still cold. New mom B, struggling with postpartum depression, is living in Portland, Maine, having left Austin and those memories far behind, until Leo, her childhood crush, and her estranged twin Gus's best friend, suddenly resurfaces, drawing B back into their shared past. B's predictable life is upended, pushing her to return to her childhood home and piece together a neighborhood's shattered history. B becomes consumed with a need to uncover the truth about DC's disappearance and what happened to the families who lived across the field from one another. Gus, Leo, and their mothers, Mary, a homemaker whose only escape is the local community theater, and Diana, a serious academic dedicated to her studies, told in multiple perspectives with two different timelines. After Image by Jamie DeBlanc. 4 years ago, beautiful yet troubled Allie Anderson vanished without a trace. The 21-year-old daughter of an acclaimed actress, her disappearance captivated the media, left her family distraught, and became a fixation for online theorists who implicated everybody Allie knew and loved, everyone, including her devoted stepsister, Natasha. Now Natasha is finally trying to move on. The panic attacks and episodes of hysterical blindness she has suffered since her stepsister's disappearance have diminished, and she no longer obsesses over the speculations of strangers, until the remains of a young woman's body are discovered in a lonely mountain canyon. As Natasha reconnects with the sympathetic Detective Ruiz, inexplicable pieces of evidence surface that open her eyes to a family she thought she knew. It seems that everyone in Allie's life had a credible motive for wanting Allie to vanish. Following each new clue, Natasha is determined to finally find the truth, wherever it leads, and whatever the cost. It also has some interesting elements. Oh yeah, I got to go to church and home for a little. Oh, nice. Oh, I bet. Ready to go home and doing good. He says, such great news. Keep up the good work. Indeed. No problem getting in and out of my house and bed. Nice. Those are the priorities. And prayers for Sarah. Yes, indeed. Kim thanks Mary. And Miss Blogger says, good morning. Good morning. Miss Blogger, do I know your name? Can you tell me your name, or is that something you'd prefer just to be Ms. Blogger? I respect that if you do. If I know your name, I can call you by your name. Close Range by Shannon Baker, ninth in the Kate Fox series. In a small town shaken by tragedy, Kate Fox finds herself at the center of a deadly mystery that threatens those she loves. When attorney Garrett Haney is found electrocuted, it's quickly deemed an accident, but as Kate assists young Sheriff Zoe in the investigation, they uncover a tangled web of lies involving the Haney family and Garrett's powerful clients. As shocking secrets come to light, Kate discovers the person behind the murders is closer to home than she ever imagined. With the help of her niece Carly and Sheriff Zoe, Kate races against the clock to protect those dear to her in a pulse-pounding showdown that will change everything. This changes everything. Gathering Mist. Timber Creek Canine Mystery. I don't think it's Harlequin. It could be, I guess. By Margaret Mizushima. Deputy Mattie Ray, formerly Mattie Cobb, is summoned to Washington's Olympic Peninsula for an urgent search and rescue mission to find a celebrity's missing child. With only a week left before her wedding, Mattie is hesitant to leave Timber Creek, but her canine partner Robo's tracking skills are needed. Dense forest, chilling rain, and unfriendly locals hamper their efforts, and soon Mattie suspects something more sinister than a lost child is at play. When one of the SAR dogs becomes ill, her fiance, Cole Walker, suspects poison. Fearing for Maddie's and Robo's safety, Cole joins the search and rescue team as veterinary support. Secrets that have lain hidden within the rugged terrain come to light, and when it's uncovered that the missing child was kidnapped, the search becomes a full-blown crime scene investigation, forcing Maddie, Robo, and Cole into a desperate search to find the missing child before it's too late. Kid Jep, those are always hard. End of that row. Hang on a second. I don't have this here. The Slate by Matthew Fitzsimmons. In another life, Agatha Cardiff was Congressman Paul Paxton's chief of staff, a cool-headed fixer who made all his problems disappear. At Paxton's behest, she covered up a shocking scandal that would have ruined a powerful senator's career. It was one moral compromise too far, and Agatha vowed never again. After 20 years in exile, Agatha's life in the margins of Washington, D.C. is about to become much more difficult. The rules have changed in her absence. That senator is now president, and Paxton, number 3 in the House, expects a nomination to the Supreme Court. After all, he knows where the president's skeletons are buried. At the same time, Agatha's quiet life on Capitol Hill shatters when her tenant, a woman with complex connections to D.C., vanishes. Suddenly, Agatha is drawn back into a mire of corruption, blackmail, and deception precisely when she can least afford it. Any hope of redemption won't come easy because the true cost of Agatha's sins is finally coming to light, and it is far from certain who will pay. And I did get this. It's Kindle Unlimited, but I did get this one. Right up my alley. Mr. Good Evening by John McLaughlin Gray. 1920s, it says. Gray brilliantly, that's a blurb. Miss Dora Decker doesn't look like the sort of young woman capable of stabbing her employer, stockbroker Ralph M. Tucker, 25 times with her high-heeled shoe. Yet, thanks to a slow news day, she has become internationally famous as the fatal flapper, and the police are only too happy to make the arrest. Well, yeah. Meanwhile, Ed McCurdy, former muckraking journalist, has traded his typewriter for a career reading radio news as Mr. Good Evening, Canada's first radio personality. As a celebrity, he draws resentment and paranoia from far and near, and he worries that the next murder victim will be himself. Narcissistic much? Inspector Calvin Hook scours the wet, boozy streets of gritty 1920s Vancouver, piecing together a mystery that somehow connects Al Capone, Winston Churchill, and brother Osiris, the leader of a mystical cult on DeCourcy Island. Looks like it's part of like a connected world trilogy. Interesting. Not Yours to Keep by Zelly Ruskin. This is a debut. Billy Campbell, a Massachusetts adoption specialist grappling with fertility issues, dreams of adopting a baby, but not just any baby, her pregnant client's baby. While her longing threatens to send her down a dark path, her husband Tyler is keeping secrets. He's full of doubts about becoming a father, and he's also trying to figure out who is sending him upsetting anonymous texts and photos. On the other side of town, Anne, a woman scarred by childhood abuse, obsesses with a second chance at becoming a family with the two people she regrets ever having let go of, the baby she gave up for adoption 20 years ago and the man of her dreams. Their lives become entangled when the client's newborn is abducted and Billy becomes a prime suspect. Amid the chaos unleashed by the abduction, Tyler uncovers a link between the person tormenting him and the abduction. But now Billy has disappeared too. The race to find both her and the baby is on. And will they find them before it's too late? Oh, that sounds messy. And perhaps messy is what people are in the mood for. My Missing Daughter by Ellery A. Kane. It's her first trip away, but she never came home. The old camping bus pulls up outside my house in the middle of the night. Rain is pounding against the windows, thunder rattling, but I'd recognize the sound of the engine anywhere. Confusion races through me. My daughter Willow and her best friend must be back early from their trip. I jump up and rush to meet them. But when I pull open the door, it's not Willow on the doorstep. It's a man holding her keys. Blood roars in my ears as he explains he was hired anonymously to drive it back. My heart is pounding. I don't understand. Where is my daughter? I push past him and run out into the rain, wrenching the door of the bus open. It's empty. The girls are gone. And in the back, there are signs of a struggle. Clumps of Willow's hair on the floor, their belongings trashed. I stop breathing. Where are they? What's happened to my daughter? And churning in my stomach is the most terrifying question of all. What will it take to get her back? Wow. A Little Getaway, a spicy suspense thriller. Morgan Murphy has always longed for romance for the ages, and she's found it with the love of her life husband, Kyle Murphy, until their spicy marriage suddenly starts to cool off. Is Kyle preoccupied in distance because of a problem with his development project, or is it something worse? Could Kyle Murphy be cheating? He's hiding something, that's for sure, and Morgan's determined to find out what it is. With the help of gal pal Carla Flores, Morgan tracks her husband's movements, and the signs increasingly point to infidelity, the ultimate sin in Morgan's book. When Kyle increases their life insurance and surprises her with a weekend getaway to get their mojo back, she goes on the offensive and hatches a plan to make him come clean about what's going on. But before she can pull it off, Morgan's attacked and nearly kidnapped, and Kyle vanishes from the resort without a trace. With no clue as to who took Kyle or why, she's not sure who is the biggest threat: the shady investor he owes money to, the police, or the guys she hired to teach Kyle a lesson. What a great marriage you have! And the way you deal with things. With the clock ticking, she needs to find out soon before they come for her, too. I'm sorry, that's not how you deal with problems in your marriage. How about communication? End of that row. Running Cold. All right, have a good day, Kim. This is by Susan Walter. Julie Adler's perfect facade is shattered by grief when her husband commits suicide. His death reveals their luxurious California life was a house of cards, and his secret business dealings have left Julie penniless. As she as she strikes out on her own, Julie feels drawn to her old stomping grounds in Banff, a charming and isolated ski town where she once trained for the Olympics, and it's gorgeous up there. She finds work as a housekeeper at a luxury resort, but just as she starts to piece together a new life, an eccentric guest turns up dead, and Julie, the last person seen in her hotel room, is the prime suspect. The evidence is stacked against her, but even in the encroaching blizzard, of course, Julie knows her way around these mountains. She just needs to evade the police long enough to find the truth behind the murder, and before the real killer finds her first. The Murderous by Lori Notaro. It's October 1931 when Winnie Ruth Judd arrives at the Los Angeles train station from Phoenix. Her shipping trunks catch the attention of a suspicious porter. By the time they're pried open, revealing the dismembered bodies of two women inside, Ruth has disappeared into the crowd. The search for and eventual apprehension of the trunk murderess quickly becomes a headline-making sensation. Even the Phoenix murder house is a sideshow attraction. The one question on everyone's lips: how could a 26-year-old reverend's daughter and doctor's wife, petite, pretty, well-educated, and poised, commit such a heinous act on two people she'd call my dearest friends in the world? Everyone has their theories and judgments, but no one knows the whole truth. What unfolds in this gripping work of true crime fiction is a collision of jealousy, drug addiction, insanity, rage, and inescapable choices. At its heart, a condemned and tragic mystery woman whose trial and its shocking twists will make history. I don't get the true crime fiction. Nightwoods, last one, and we are almost out of time, by Paula Mounier. 6 in the Mercy Car Mysteries. Record snow and sleet and rain are pummeling Vermont, and a wild boar has escaped from an exclusive hunting club nearby, but that won't stop a very pregnant and very bored Mercy Carr from hiking her beloved woods with her loyal dog, Elvis. She's supposed to be decorating the nursery and helping her mother plan the baby shower, but she'd much rather be playing Scrabble with Homer Grant, a word-loving, shotgun-toting hermit living deep in the forest. But when she and Elvis drop to Homer's cabin for their weekly game, they arrive to find an unknown dead man and no sign of Homer. As they search the woods, Mercy discovers a patch of devastation that could only be left behind by wild boar. She's relieved when Elvis tracks Homer, injured but alive. But Homer's troubles are far from over, as he's still the number one suspect, and he remembers nothing of the attack. When another corpse with a link to Homer is found, Mercy is determined to help her friend, an effort complicated by the unexpected arrival of her young cousin Tandy, sent by Mercy's mother to keep an eye on her until the baby is born. As the floods worsen, Troy and Susie Bear are called out with the other first responders, and Mercy finds herself alone at Grappletree Farm with a concussed Homer, Tandy, and Elvis. As waters rise and the wild boar rampages, Mercy realizes that the murderer is out there ready to strike again, this time much closer to home. And that is all we have time for today, but we got through it all. Yay! Just wonder if that is fiction or how the author would really deal with problems in a marriage. Nowadays, it's hard to tell. Indeed. Hi, Storm. And there he says, hi, Storm back. All righty. Well, tomorrow we'll be looking at romance. Tonight I do have sprints at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. Bring your own book, work on a project. Oh, speaking of project, I gifted my next door neighbor the crocheted bedspread I've been working on for the last 5 weeks. I've not heard, I gave it last night, so I've not heard any feedback yet. Mindy was still at work. She's a pharmacist. So I might hear today if they like it or not, but it is off my hands. I am free. And that makes me very happy because they're leaving on Sunday to go get married somewhere. I don't know if it's Vegas or not. Anyway, this seemed very quick this morning. Thanks so much. Off to meet friends for lunch. Oh, nice. In another town. Should be fun to catch up with them. Oh, have a good time. Travel safely. Speaking of safely, everybody, please be safe wherever you are. There's nature going on. Nature does this at this time of the season. So everybody be safe, be prepared. You never know what's going to happen. And as always, as Bookie Monsters, we must have, that's why we have such a big TBR for things like this. It's a light-hearted way to say, please be safe out there. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.